Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Always.
Great. So today we're taking a look at something pretty interesting.
Okay.
It's called 𝙀𝙖𝙖𝙞 from Buddhist philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll be drawing on your sources, of course.
Sounds good.
So 𝙀𝙖𝙖, it's often translated as power, but we're going to be focusing specifically on something called the four bases of power.
Right.
And here's the twist. 𝙀𝙖𝙖 can apply to any skill or pursuit, really.
Absolutely.
Not just meditation.
That's one of the things that really fascinates me about 𝙀𝙖.
Yeah.
How it's not just about, those fantastical supernatural powers.
Right.
But it's much more nuanced than that,
Mm-hmm.
encompassing success, accomplishment, even just general prowess in anything.
Yeah, it's funny. You wouldn't typically think prowess
Right.
when you hear the word power, would you?
Not usually, no.
Yeah, it's interesting. So our sources actually break down 𝙀𝙖 into 6 different forms.
Right.
But here's the thing. Only one is considered truly transcendent. And that's the power to overcome mental disturbances, those mental roadblocks
Exactly.
to peace and clarity.
Yes, and I think that's a really important point that sometimes gets missed.
Yeah.
These other 5 forms of 𝙀𝙖, while they're certainly interesting,
Uh-huh.
are kind of considered like side effects, almost.
Oh, interesting.
So things like levitation, clairvoyance, even remembering past lives,
Wow.
all part of 𝙀𝙖, but not the ultimate goal.
So it's like even if you could walk through walls, Buddhism is saying there's something even more powerful.
Precisely.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's a perspective you don't hear every day.
Definitely not. The sources even mention these enlightened beings called
Yeah.
arahants
Uh-huh.
who actually had these powers but were discouraged from showing them off.
It was seen as almost a distraction
Oh, wow.
from the real work.
Yeah, because what's the point, right? If true power comes from that inner transformation,
Exactly.
not the flashy tricks.
It's not about the show. It's about the substance.
Right, exactly. Makes me think of that saying, actions speak louder than words.
Absolutely.
It's not about what you can do. It's about the real impact
Yes.
that you have on yourself and the world around you.
I love that.
So, okay, let's get back to those 4 bases of power.
But
Desire, persistence, intent, and discrimination.
right?
And those sound like, on the surface, they sound like the foundation for
They do, yes.
any kind of success, right?
Yeah.
So how do they actually work?
Well, the sources explain that these bases are pathways
Okay.
to cultivate 𝙀𝙖,
Uh-huh.
and they all involve this focused concentration
Okay.
and what's called right exertion,
Right exertion.
which is a kind of mindful effort, not just brute force.
So it's not just about, wanting something badly enough or powering through no matter what.
Not at all.
It's about applying those qualities in a skillful, a focused way.
Yes, precisely.
And is that kind of what the sources are getting at when they say a monk develops the base of power endowed with concentration founded on,
Mhm.
and then in brackets they have desire, persistent discrimination,
Right.
and the fabrications of exertion.
Yes.
What does that even mean? It seems like there's more to it than just wishing for something.
Oh, definitely.
It's not like, The Secret or something.
Not quite, no.
Okay.
It's more about how these qualities become the lens, you could say,
Okay.
through which you focus your concentration and your energy.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, each of these bases involves 3 specific qualities.
Okay, lay it on me.
Ardency, that's the right exertion part.
Right.
Alertness and mindfulness.
Okay, so wait, urgency, alertness, and mindfulness.
Yes.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Does it?
That sounds a lot like the first stage,
It does, doesn't it?
a frame of reference meditation in Buddhism,
You're exactly right.
where you're really honing in on that focused awareness.
You're spot on. And here's what's interesting. These 4 bases, especially the desire and effort parts,
Okay.
sometimes get criticized,
Oh, really?
especially from a Western perspective,
Interesting.
for being counterproductive to meditation.
Oh, I can see that.
People think, wait, aren't you supposed to let go of desire
Right, exactly.
and reach this kind of peaceful state?
Yeah, if you're trying to quiet your mind,
Uh-huh.
wouldn't all that desire and effort just add more noise?
That's the common misconception.
Okay.
The sources clarify that it's not the qualities themselves that are the problem.
Oh,
It's how they're applied.
I see.
Just like, fire can warm you.
Or burn you?
Exactly.
Uh,
It all depends on how you use it.
right.
Desire, effort, intent, discrimination,
Uh-huh.
when used skillfully, they actually help you focus on the present moment.
Okay.
And as we know, that is key
Right.
to mastering anything.
So it's like, instead of trying to eliminate these qualities, you're learning to refine them
Exactly.
and use them to your advantage.
Yeah, precisely. Think of desire not as this craving for the end result, but as this deep passion for understanding the process.
Okay.
And discrimination isn't about being judgmental.
Right.
It's about seeing clearly the path ahead
Okay.
and making wise choices.
So I get that, but I think a lot of people listening might be thinking, how do we connect this to, say, learning a language or starting a business?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, it still feels a bit abstract, you know?
I hear you.
How do you take these philosophical concepts
Right.
and actually apply them to those real-world goals?
Right, right. The sources actually offer a helpful analogy here
Okay.
to illustrate this.
Okay.
Imagine a musician learning like a complex piece of music.
Okay.
They need that burning desire to master it.
Right.
The persistence to practice day after day.
Yeah.
The clear intent to interpret the music with their own unique voice. And the sharp discrimination to identify the areas that need improvement.
Right. Right.
So it's not just about hitting the right notes.
Yeah.
It's about weaving them together
Right.
into this beautiful and meaningful whole.
Yeah. That's a much clearer image, I think,
Right.
than the Grand Canyon one. I like that one better.
I think it really highlights how
Yeah.
you need all these elements working in harmony
Mm-hmm.
to really create something special.
Yeah. And this idea of skillful application.
Yeah.
And it seems to be like a recurring theme here.
It is, isn't it?
So how do you actually cultivate that balance then
Right.
between like desire and letting go?
That's where these deeper levels of the bases of power
Okay.
really come into play.
Okay.
The sources talk about refining these qualities to a point
Mm-hmm.
where you can perceive what is in front and behind, so that what is in front is the same as what is behind. What is below is the same as what is above. Night is the same as day.
Whoa. Okay. Hold on. That sounds pretty out there.
It is a bit mind-bending, yes.
How can what's in front be the same as what's behind? Like, that seems almost paradoxical.
It is. It points to a level of awareness, though,
Oh,
that transcends our usual limitations,
okay.
time and space.
So it's like you're developing this
Yes.
expansive awareness
Exact.
where those, like, dualities start to dissolve.
Precisely.
So by mastering these bases,
Yes.
you're not just achieving a specific goal.
Right.
You're actually, like, transforming
Yes.
your perception of reality.
Exactly. But here's what's really fascinating. Even after achieving this level of awareness, the Buddha urged his followers to go even further
Further.
by developing extreme sensitivity,
Oh, wow.
even the subtlest mental defilements.
Wait, so there's more.
There's always more.
I thought mastering space and time was
Really?
like the ultimate achievement.
It's a pretty high bar, yeah.
What could possibly be beyond that?
Well, it's about recognizing that even in this highly concentrated mind, these tiny choices of greed, aversion, and delusion
Can still linger. So even when you think you've reached peak performance,
Right.
there's still another layer to peel back.
It's a continuous process.
Yes, it's a never-ending
Yeah.
quest for self-improvement.
In a way, yes.
Okay.
The path to true mastery is this continuous process of refinement and self-awareness.
Okay.
And this brings us to another key concept, the deathless,
The
a
deathless.
state of liberation
Okay.
that goes beyond our usual understanding of life and death.
Okay, now we're really getting into like
I know,
the
right?
deep end of the pool here.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued, but also a bit intimidated.
Yeah, it's a big topic.
So what exactly is the deathless?
Right.
And how does it relate to these four bases of power?
Well, the sources suggest that the final stage of mastering these bases
Okay.
involves this radical shift in perspective.
Okay.
It's not enough to simply refine your desire, persistence, intent, and discrimination.
Oh, there's more.
You have to let go of even the idea that you are the master of these powers.
Wait, what? So after all that work,
I know, it's a bit of a paradox.
you're saying the ultimate goal is to like surrender control.
Yeah, in a way, yes.
That seems kind of counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it?
Wouldn't that lead to like complacency
You'd think so?
or even stagnate?
It's a common concern.
Yeah.
But think about it this way.
Okay.
If you're clinging to the idea of being the master
Okay.
of your abilities,
Uh-huh.
isn't there still this subtle sense of ego involved?
I see what you mean.
You're still identifying with the doer,
Right.
the achiever.
It's like that saying, the ego is a terrible master.
Exactly.
But if you let go of that sense of mastery, wouldn't you lose like motivation?
That's the question, isn't it?
How do you balance that surrender
Right.
with the desire to like achieve anything worthwhile?
That's a great question, and I think the sources address this
Okay.
by using this phrase, incline the mind to the deathless.
Okay, incline the mind
Yes.
to the deathless.
And this doesn't mean trying to become immortal.
Right.
It's about shifting your focus from this impermanent, ever-changing realm of experience to a deeper, unchanging reality.
So it's about transcending those limitations then that we usually place on ourselves.
Exactly.
The limitations of time and space, even the limitations of our own ego.
Precisely. The deathless is often associated with nibbana, which is the ultimate goal in Buddhism.
Right.
This state of perfect peace and liberation from suffering. Where you're no longer bound by those limitations.
But how do the 4 bases of power lead to this state?
Right, that's the key question.
It still feels like a pretty big leap.
It does, yeah.
It's one thing to refine those qualities for like practical achievements.
Yeah.
But how do they connect to this deeper level of
Yeah.
spiritual liberation?
Exactly.
How do you bridge that gap? I don't know. It seems like we're talking about 2 different kinds of mastery.
It's like mastery in the world and then mastery over, like the mind itself.
Right. And that's actually...
could those two be connected?
That's the beauty of the 4 bases.
Oh, okay.
They bridge that gap.
Okay.
As you refine these qualities, you're not just becoming more skillful.
Right.
You're also training your mind to be incredibly focused and present.
So it's like peeling away
Yes.
layers of mental clutter.
Exactly.
Allowing for this deeper, more direct experience of reality.
So the more you refine these bases, the more you're able to see through those illusions.
The illusions that keep us trapped in suffering.
That's how you incline your mind to the deathless.
Oh, okay.
It's not about forcing your way into that state,
Right.
but cultivating the conditions
that make it possible.
Exactly. And one of the key practices the sources emphasize is simply observing what's present without adding anything to it. So just observing.
Does that ring a bell?
It sounds a lot like mindfulness.
It does, doesn't it?
That we've talked about before.
Yeah.
You know, just noticing your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Exactly.
But how does just observing things lead to such a profound shift?
Well, it's about recognizing the impermanent, interconnected nature of all things. And this aligns with that 3rd stage of frame of reference meditation in Buddhism, which focuses on emptiness.
Emptiness.
And emptiness doesn't mean that nothing exists.
Right.
It's about seeing through that illusion of a separate, independent self. And understanding that everything is interconnected and constantly changing.
So by cultivating those 4 bases and this understanding of emptiness, you're essentially paving the way then
You got it.
for liberation.
Yeah, it's like those qualities become tools for dismantling the very structures that create suffering.
Okay, that's a great way to put it. But how does letting go of that idea of mastery actually translate into real-world success?
Good question.
It seems like you still need that sense of agency.
You do, yes.
To achieve anything worthwhile.
Absolutely.
So how do you balance that surrender with that ambition?
It's a delicate dance.
Okay.
And that's where this paradoxical nature of the bases really shines through.
Okay.
On one hand, you're cultivating them to a point of mastery.
Right.
Becoming incredibly skillful and effective.
But on the other hand, you're letting go.
You're learning to detach from the idea that you are the one in control.
So it's about becoming so skilled that your actions just flow effortlessly.
Exactly.
Like you're being guided by something beyond your conscious control.
Like a martial artist who reacts instinctively.
Oh, interesting.
Without thinking. Effortlessly deflecting blows. Or a dancer whose movements have become so fluid that they seem to be guided by the music itself.
Now that's a kind of mastery I can get behind. But how do we actually cultivate this?
Well, the first step is self-awareness.
Self-awareness,
Paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and actions. And noticing how those 4 bases are playing out in your life.
So if you're constantly chasing external validation, that might be a sign.
That could be a sign.
That your desire is out of balance.
Exactly.
Or if you're pushing yourself relentlessly without listening to your body's needs, that could be excessive persistence.
That's a good example.
So it's about taking an honest look in the mirror and seeing how these qualities are shaping our experiences.
But once you see those patterns,
What do you do?
It's about becoming more conscious
Okay.
of your choices.
Okay.
Recognizing that you have the power
We do.
to refine those qualities
Okay.
and direct them in a way
Okay.
that aligns with your values.
So it's not about eliminating them altogether.
No.
It's about becoming like
Yes.
the conductor.
The conductor, I love that.
Of your own mental orchestra.
Yeah.
Right. Guiding those powerful forces in a direction that leads to both, like inner peace and outer effectiveness.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
And remember, this is a lifelong journey.
Right.
Not a destination.
Not a destination, yeah.
You'll inevitably encounter challenges.
For sure.
Setbacks.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
It's like learning to ride a bike.
Right.
You're going to fall a few times.
They're going to fall, yeah.
Before you find your balance.
But each time you fall,
exactly,
you learn something.
You get a little bit closer to mastering the skill.
Mastering it, yeah.
The key is to approach those challenges with curiosity and compassion rather than judgment or self-criticism.
That's important.
And remember, you don't have to go it alone.
Oh, good point.
The sources emphasize seeking guidance from teachers or mentors.
Yeah, we all need a little help from our friends sometimes.
Right. Especially when venturing into uncharted territory.
Absolutely.
And as you continue to refine those bases, you might be surprised by the shifts you experience.
In our lives.
You may find yourself more resilient in the face of adversity. More focused and productive in your work. More compassionate and understanding in your relationships.
Those are some pretty amazing side effects.
They are, aren't they?
It sounds like these 4 bases are not just about achieving worldly success.
It's much more than that.
But becoming like a better, more whole human being.
And that's what this deep dive has been all about.
That's what it's all about, yeah.
It's not just about accumulating knowledge.
Right.
It's about using that knowledge to transform yourself and the world around you.
Well, I think that about wraps up, our exploration of the 4 bases of power.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey.
It has. It really has. But the journey doesn't have to end here.
That's right.
I mean, we've given you the map.
Yes.
Now it's up to you to explore the territory.
Absolutely.
So what does true mastery look like?
Yeah, what does it look like?
For you.
For you.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Your insights.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep diving.